Okay, so everything you can you say will be
Just like at the White House?
yes, you will be used against you. Right? Okay. So this is what we're gonna do today. If it shows up, yeah. So we will introduce ourselves, including who's here, right? And then we will elect a chair of the advisory board among of those people who are actually present. And it's not gonna be me or Richard. And then we'll give you a spiel about how great we are, and then you say, well, you don't agree. That's okay. And then we come to the fees, right? I thought we would have 1.5 hours, and then I thought after your email we have 1 hour. Now I realize we have 40 minutes.
Well, that's other people's show.
Yeah. So well, we can start already. So this is the people who were supposed to be here: Bob, Nick, Shota, Eduardo, Linda, and Richard. Um, Richard is in the building, so I could get my people.
Ex officio.
Yeah, you know.
He's got to be.
Yeah, he's gotta be, and I'll tell my people to get him.
Here, Linda.
Yeah.
Where do we be at that food for health?
Probably. Yeah.
Really? I think it's a good picture.
Yeah, so that is those guys, and then I'm Oliver, hi. And Luis. Luis is the core manager. He is managing the core in the sense of managing it, actually managing it. But he is not the, how can I say, he's not paid by the, he's not the academic administrator. That was Vladimir Tolstikov at some point, 2011, and then the position was cut. Okay, so and then Richard came to me and said, Oliver, you're it. And I'd say, really? I'm a professor. I don't do this. I usually smile and sit in a corner. And then he said, now you're it. Good luck. And, and then I said, oh, okay. I need to raise some revenues. Otherwise, I'll be actually doing it. I need people doing it for me. And then I was writing grants and successful with the grants. Right. So that's a short history of the genome of this thing. Hey, Nick.
Right.
Thanks for coming. So we're just at the introduction. I record this for the people who are not here. We have 40 minutes.
Got it.
Okay, so we are here on a mission. We are here on a mission, and I actually sent my staff over to get the Mitchellmore person because he's supposed to be here. All right, so now at least we have a quorum. That's good. Now I think 3 people is 50%, which is,
I see 6 people. I don't know about you.
no, 3 people who are actually advisory members. And then Luis is the lab manager, I said. So he's interim. We will hire there's water and coffee. We will hire a technical director. But I'm actually writing the position description right now. I don't want this technical director to boss around people and be the owner of the core, right? I want this technical director to improve, maintain services, and improve services. So including the quality of services. Actually, I am always looking at the quality and I hate it. I actually sort of enjoy it, but it's a bit too much work. And then we have, so Luis is actually the manager, and I want him to remain managing it in terms of undergrad staff, and so on. Luis is very good at that, and we will reappoint him as an SRA 3. So right now he's an SRA 2. And then we have Kelly Palia. Kelly is a project concierge, also manager, but I think concierge sounds better. She is the ears and eyes of the center. All communications go through her. So Luis is not talking to people. I try not to talk to people unless I have to. And the staff are not talking to people. So Kelly basically organizes all the information she needs. She is on the phone. She's on the emails. She's answering all the emails. She receives the samples, and she answers all the questions. So she's actually managing the projects, right?
She's quite knowledgeable.
Yeah.
Vouch for that.
But the point is, if she doesn't know, she just organizes the information. Right?
Yeah.
So
Either me or Oliver or someone else.
So therefore, I see this as a team of managers because it's quite a sizable operation, as you will see. So these are, I don't know if Shota still, if Eduardo's coming, but at least Shota cannot come. Okay, so what is the advisory committee? What are your roles? They have been defined by the best practices document sent by the campus facility core
Campus goals.
committee and chairs, which is Julie Auguer and
Klaus.
Bentham, Klaus
Klaus.
von Bentham, right? So they are kind of appointed, and we are one of 17 campus cores. And they made they try to get a little structure into what the campus cores are doing. That's the thing. So that's what you do. So your major and minor users, all of you have used it. Bob has used most of it, actually. Linda says she's not going to do it anymore, but I still... You have been, at least your postdoc has been a minor user, and you have enjoyed working with it, and so on. And Eduardo did quite a bit, and he actually also sent a proposal where I was reviewing his proposal, where he said, the core is not doing this. And I said, oh, you are my next advisor. So what you
get put on the committee.
yes, that's the point.
Put up or shut up.
And so we meet periodically. I would suggest once a year. Is that fine? Or yes? Or
We
okay.
don't have a requirement.
No, they
Periodic,
said
so annual
periodically.
is probably-
Well, the campus schools committee, it's a requirement that it meets at least once a year.
Yeah, I mean, I think if there's an emergency,
Right.
Usually, if it's an emergency, I would send an email.
yeah.
You know, in-person meetings are hard to organize. Okay, the point is what we have to do today is to review the fee structure. We have not touched the fees for 6 years. So they've been staying flat, and that's not going to work anymore. And then you can, if you want to chime into whatever you think we should be doing, and if you say, well, there's a great grant opportunity, please tell us. We may not know, okay? We will need a chair of the advisory committee, and I can't be me, and shouldn't be Richard.
It can't be me either.
Can't you be either? Okay, so, volunteers. Bob.
I volunteer Nick.
Congratulations, Nick.
You want to do
I'm just
it?
kidding. I don't care. I'll do it.
You're the biggest user, is that right?
What's that?
Are you the biggest
Yeah,
user?
he's your biggest user.
Well, I guess I've been a user for many years.
Yes,
so
you have been there many years. You have a recurrent client,
Yeah,
and
sure.
you have also.
What does it mean? I bet you get paid
I
$1
bet-
million.
Yeah, of course. You get preferential treatment.
No,
I-
that's one thing you don't get.
Oh,
Wait a minute.
This is recorded.
Oh, it's true.
This
So
is
he
why-
does not get preferential treatment, but
Okay.
I do something that cannot be recorded.
Put me down.
It shouldn't be too
Yes.
To what?
It won't be too onerous.
Okay. I've
All
got
right,
a lot.
Eduardo, welcome.
Hey, well,
You're just lucky guy. Just sit there.
we just elected you as chair.
I'm sorry, I'm dealing with the renewal.
Yeah. So we have 30 minutes left. So that's why we're going quick. Eduardo.
10:30, no?
Yeah. But he has to leave.
Well, bye.
Okay.
You can still
Okay.
Yeah, we can still
No
go
worries,
on,
no
but
worries.
So just
No
in
worries.
case you haven't seen the people, Nick Kenyon. Let me see. Nick.
I know her.
Nick is pulmonary critical care and sleeping a lot, apparently. Eduardo and Linda love plants. Richard also loves plants. So that's why I wanted to have people who also love humans.
It's good. I think it's a good broad-based committee.
And Shota can't come today. But I record the meeting, so I will put it up on YouTube. You get a link, that you can revisit it or not, or at least if people can't make it. These are we just elected the chair, Bob, unless you volunteer.
No.
Okay.
I'm okay.
All right. So now we come to the next agenda point, the report. So I'll give you a 15-minute report, right? And then you'll have Q&A. So this is who we are. We have 16 mass spectrometers. We do not use NMR, okay? Of the 16 mass spectrometers, 9 are 5 years or older. Some of them are actually 13 years old. They still work. They're kind of on the last leg. But usually we do a comprehensive repairs and then they still go on, right? Especially the GC Toughs. They're still very active and do a lot of data. The ion traps, these are the ones that we will retire at some point, but they're also good for training. If people want training, that's where they get training on. Also, two GC quadrupoles, they're basically only for campus users. If some users really want, they have a student and they want to analyze it a little bit, said, hey, go to the LC ion traps, go to the GC quadrupoles. These are the machines you can use, and I think Bob's people actually have used it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
very good.
yeah. So
It would, yeah.
and then they get a little training and off they go, right?
You don't charge for the training. right?
No, we didn't charge. We just say whatever.
Well,
You know,
yeah.
You didn't charge?
no,
What
it's
happened?
I think that you might be advertised a
Yeah,
little
you
bit
should.
more
no.
than
We
you
don't
are
want.
now.
We don't want too many people
Well,
coming.
it's a very good thing to have.
I know, but the point is, once you,
Nobody can maintain their
yeah,
own
but
GC.
then of course we have to charge, and we have to have a trainer all the time, and
Sure,
then
but-
it's.
Okay.
If the advisor core, we take it under advice.
Let's discuss this. Let's go.
Let's
through
go
your
further.
presentation. We
So
need to
then
go
we
back to
have
that.
these. The newest two are the Q Exactive. Really cool instrument. People love it. There's a long line of people who want to use it. It's the best. And the 6500 Q Trap, also purchased, also great for targeted steroids and oxylipins and stuff. So these are the two newest.
So running has two ends.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to say running.
Oh yeah, ruining. Oh yeah.
German. Like German.
well, no, we try to ruin it.
That's Spanish. That's Spanish.
Okay, so then we have
Can I go back to instruments?
13 or so staff members. There's quite a bit of rotation. For example, Carol actually left today, so she's now at a different lab. And we have 5 people that we hire. So we have lots of interviews this week, next week. And we hire a lot of people. We go into weekend shift, so the weekend will be open now because we are steaming hot in terms of services and demand. We even thought about night shifts. I thought about night shifts. So that's how
So
good
you
it
ever
is.
turn down jobs?
we only turn down jobs that are impossible, where we cannot do it.
So technically, you could run 24 hours a day.
Yes.
And you'll reach a maximum at some point. but you
Yeah,
can't
the instruments run 24/7, but the people, there is competition for spaces in the hoods. We have 3 hoods. That's just not enough anymore. And there's competition for being on the computer to do the data processing. And we have lots of computers and lots of seating spaces, but, well, it's very hard to expand it. So we would love to get a room from BME back that they evacuated. Yeah, so if you have any job, take that room back.
What's going to happen?
Well, bribe
Unfortunately,
them. I don't know. Get the
mean,
Russian
place to
mafia,
find where
something.
where the cafe used to be?
No, the
No.
other one in the middle.
At the back, where the receiving
Right.
arm is.
No, but the middle thing. That's
Oh, that one.
that room. Yeah,
I haven't seen how it's.
it's totally empty.
Okay.
It's totally empty. And we talked about pitchforks this morning, and
Just occupy it.
yeah, So anyway, then we have a number of people who actually help the core, including, for example, our full-time statistician, our full-time project concierge, Kelly, who's sitting here, and our bioinformatics person, and our course manager. All these are paid by the NIH. And also our whole IT team is paid by NIH and NSF, and they clearly support the core. These people have to be rolled over into not all, but into the core because they actually do core work. So this was the subsidy that the NIH made for the last 5 years.
So there's a separate bioinformatics core.
The
right? Which is
bioinformatics
totally
course doesn't know chemistry. The
different.
bioinformatics course, they know genes and genomes, and they have not heard about chemistry. We are a chemistry
So
core.
this is separate.
It's different. We do chemistry. We do data processing chemistry. We do statistics. They don't even have a statistician. Well, not a full-time.
What's the dividing line between your research lab and the core? I know those
None of
16 mass-
Dinesh is doing some research.
No. I'm saying those 16 mass specs.
They are
Right.
all for the core. Core has priority.
No, but you've got 16 mass specs,
Yes.
but you've also got other mass specs that you're
No, I basically Louis
So-
managing everything.
Okay. No,
And
in
the
other
co-
words, your research lab and the core
Compete.
essentially one and the same thing.
No, no, they're not. They're
Well,
different.
that's what I'm trying to
Okay.
get. So you got
So you don't
these
see any
staff.
of my researchers on here,
okay.
right? So all the grad students and postdocs and so on are
Not.
actually researchers. They're not on here.
Right, but all the mass specs are.
And they do not run large projects. If they run large projects, we actually start one large project which is underfunded, so I cannot. It's too little funding to do it in the core, so I basically have undergrads for free, and I have a
No, but if
tribe
you-
of 12.
Why I'm asking is, I get pushback in terms of what is your research lab versus what is the core.
The core runs 25,000 samples. The research lab maybe 2,000.
So what
Yeah.
you're asking is, if you want to do a research project with you that you're interested in,
I give it to the
right?
core.
How does that work?
I give it to the core. The research lab does developments. The core runs large projects.
So you're not doing sort of basic research.
I do basic research, but not the running thousands of samples,
Okay.
except for one study which is totally underfunded, and I don't
Okay,
know why. It's
but the 16 mass specs,
yes, they're
are any
all
of them, or do you consider them all being part of the core?
yes,
And none of them being part of you?
yes. So that's what when they need it for research developments, they do it for a couple of samples, but usually not like hundreds and hundreds,
Okay. No,
And if they do it, then we'd sign them like 3 weeks or so, but that's rare. It's actually one grad student right now. Right. So all the postdocs that mainly
All the service contracts and all the expenses associated with 16 machines are being paid by the core
and by the NIH, by the NIH. We come to the fees later. Okay. So these are the current assays and services. They're all on the website. Biogenic amines, primer metabolites, and complex lipids are most sought after. These are the ones that we do every day. We also have really added the bile acid steroids and eicosanoids oxylipins. They are increasingly popular, I'd say. Yeah. So there's also hot demand. There's much more data processing needed, so it's more time needed. That's why they are more expensive.
Driven by one person.
Driven by two people,
people.
actually. Yeah. Well, two people. I mean, well.
That's good.
Very short chain fatty acids were kind of popular 3 years ago, and now people call it poop and they don't want to do it anymore. We have a new kit because people complained about turnaround times. This is a guaranteed 2-week turnaround time for plasma only. Okay, only for plasma. Doesn't work for any tissues and no plants. It's a kit. It's a little more expensive because we have to pay for the kit, right? But we can guarantee a 2 weeks turnaround time for those who need it right now. This is one project that I wanted to give you as an idea where we are for mouse, for the MMPC, that's Kent Lloyd, and the IMPC, the International Mouse Knockout Phenotyping Center. So where we had a number of brain, blood, and liver, and we did it in 2 weeks. So they arrived April 21. They get it back on May 4. And they get 1,168 identified metabolites for the 3 organs, plus couple thousands of unknowns, of course. And this is just to give you some idea, about the scope. So lots and lots of lipids, of course, right? Because lipids are much easier to kind of analyze than other compounds. Primary metabolites have some lipids, but not many. Cholesterol, for example, is shared between the lipids and the primary. There's a little bit sharing between the hydrophilic interaction, biogenic amines. These are basically amino acids that can be seen by both technologies. And then we have the oxylipids and the steroids that are targeted only, and that would not be found by the untargeted methods, just to give you some idea. And we need about 100 microliters or less of plasma, and this is a lot less than it was 4 years ago. 4 years ago, people would have asked for 1 milliliter for that. And now we say 100 microliters is fine. And that's pretty cool because often enough, especially in larger cohort studies, they don't have a milliliter for everybody, yeah, because they also do genomics and whatever, right? Okay, so that's where we are. The performance. So I took over in August 2011 after the core manager the position was eliminated. And then we ran up both the number of projects as well as the number of samples. which is right now at the 22 to 25,000 samples a year, and one project a day. This year we have even received more than one project a day, so it's still increasing, and that's why we're increasing also the number of staff. We get about like on average 70 or so samples per project, except for here where we had the so-called TEDdy study. That was a giant freaking study with 14,000 samples in one cohort. That actually paid also 2 of the mass specs, but the point is the mass specs stay, and so we still have the mass specs.
So that's over now.
That's over. Yeah.
Was
And-
it successful as far as they were concerned?
No, it was not. I hated the project. It was citrated plasma. We didn't know it was citrated plasma before. Citrated plasma doesn't work nice at all on the GCMS. The lipidomics was okay, right? But and I actually now collaborate with people looking at the data at Denver. So there's a postdoc or grad student in Denver, and I actually mentor this grad student to look at the data. Yeah. All right. Anyway, of course, we were a little afraid, like, what happens if the project is over? We knew that we have then, it could have been that we get much less projects and that the total billing, but the interesting part last year, we get through the increase in projects, we basically made up for the TEDdy grant, and that's good.
So that's actually surprisingly low number of samples per project. I thought you were doing like hundreds.
Yeah, we can do, but that's the average. There's
Even so.
many people who have 12 samples, 4 samples, 1 sample, and we say everything, we accept it, but if people say, I have 1 sample or 4 samples, we say we still charge 12. It's basically the minimum,
I was going to say it has to scale.
it has to, there is also inbuilt a little bit, so 12 samples is a little more expensive still than 20 samples. 20 samples are a little more expensive than 50. 50 and more, you pay whatever the website says, right? Because there's a little more, in terms of Kelly and just get an order organized and opening the boxes, it's just more time for the staff. All right. So this is now where I think we are strong, weak, and where we need to become better. We are clearly among the 6 academic cores in the United States. We are the best, in both in terms of diversity as well as also we had a competition among the centers. We have also the lowest rates. So, for example, Michigan, they charge 3 times more. So they easily charge $150, $300 for primary metabolites, lipids, that's their rates. We have good informatics support by the Phen Lab, actually, because basically that's my research. And people come to us a lot. We have very good visibility, so it's good. We have the courses. The courses are overbooked, usually, or at least sold out. So the courses are paid, so it's $500 a day. And people come. From all over the world, to attain our courses. So for the September course, for example, we have 28 people who have registered already and paid. And we are a maximum of 30. We can't do more because everybody gets a laptop. They get trained on the laptop. So good. So what is the weakness? Well, declining turnaround time. So when I started, we had about 6 weeks to 8 weeks turnaround time, but you've seen the increase in number of projects and the number of samples. They just keep sending. And we are now at a 12-week turnaround time. That's why we implemented the 2-week turnaround time Biocrity sample for at least for plasma, right? So okay, you want data right now? We can give it to you if you can pay. We had a rush fee in between. We abolished the rush fee because everybody wanted to pay the rush fee,
Do you have different fees for industry?
Yes. So industry pay, and so we have a UC fee. That's general through all cores. A UC, including UC Merced and UC San Francisco and whatnot. And then non-UC academics, that's higher, the 50% higher, it's basically the overhead. And then we have on top of that the industry fee, which basically pays for the instruments that are paid by NIH or NSF or State of California or whoever pay for it, right? So we cannot subsidize industry for that. We only charge for consumables and staff, that's it. No charge for instruments. Yeah.
Equipment maintenance, usually.
Yeah, maintenance is in.
The thing that isn't charged for is equipment replacement. Because if it's a federal grant that's meant to be built into the the overhead, it's illegal to actually have that in your recharge rates. So that's one of the ways we can keep it down. And if we're paying for a core manager again, that gets we can't recharge that.
All right. So weaknesses: low client base at
It
user.
comes out to about overall cores, and this is standard what we do. It's about 30% on top of the overhead. So the way it's structured, actually, if it's a UCD account, we can actually reach through and get the overhead. So that comes to the Genome Center, right, on all the cores. This is not specific to this core. If it's not a UCD account, we can't. Therefore, I try and get the 58% from the other academics. So the amount of money actually coming to the Genome Center is exactly the same, right? And then, but obviously, if it's an industry, we need to charge them that 30% extra too. And that's standard across all the cores.
All right. So client base at UC Davis. We have 350 projects a year and maybe 35 from Davis. Yeah. So it's slow. And I don't know why, but there's maybe, well, one thing is there's many more researchers outside of Davis than inside of Davis. I mean,
Maybe you're big.
well, the point is with only UC Davis, it would not be a core, right? I mean, we couldn't afford it. We couldn't do anything. That would be too small to sustain.
What's the
Right.
distribution with schools and colleges?
That's okay.
There's some-
We do it annually, and it's I can't tell out of, but it's all like ag and medical. School of Medicine and ag is the most, you know. But there's also a little bit engineering, a little bit letters of science,
How
right?
much vet med?
Vet med, very little vet med. And I actually talked to the vet med Lairmore, and I said, you know, we do a lot more for vet med in Pullman, Washington, and we have, you know, horses and rabbits and stuff from
So-
all over the country except for UC Davis. So I said, like, hey guys, I heard that you have a vet med school. What's going on with you?
Is it that they're sending the sample somewhere else, or they're not doing the research?
I don't know. I think that I don't know. It's very hard, and it's not far away,
What
right?
about the other core labs? Are they all low at UC Davis? They do also, I mean, the genomics.
No, no, it depends. It depends.
Because it's unique to this core. That
This
UC
core
Davis
is the lowest in terms of UC Davis. I mean, some of them, proteomics, for example, there's a lot of projects that come from UC Davis.
And it's been historically, sometimes we had like Dan Klebenstein. The first 5 years, he like sent thousands of samples, and David Neal also, and so on. So there's sometimes these plant people, they come because they can get the plants easy. You know, you get sometimes thousands of samples, right? But that's just one researcher. It's not a,
But it's depending on the funding.
yeah, well, that's true.
Well,
Funding
also
on
it gets
plants-
down to-
funding on plants,
In terms of
it's
threats,
often it is.
increasing competition for metabolon. I know some people go there.
Metabolon is the big animal in the room.
expensive.
So it's very expensive, but it's giant. So they have 30 PhD scientists just on consulting and interpretation
Good job.
of data. And we don't have that. We don't have a PhD. If Bob Wise or Nick Kenyon do something, they get data, then they come to Oliver Fien and said, can we collaborate, right? But that's like, then I have to go to my PhD or whatever and said, hey, you know, you want to work with, you know, Nick and, you know, Bob or whatever, or
Now,
Eduardo?
I know, for example, Bill Lucas has kind of tries to think he has a special relationship with Metabolon, beats up on Bill Riles, John Riles, until he gets the service. So there are people going to Metabolon. I know that.
Yeah, dermatology.
And Bob went to
Oh, yeah, I
Metabolon.
went to Metabolon when we had a lot of money.
Right.
Yeah.
And they did, before you guys were the core, then I used to support the core. And they did a good job.
Yeah, they did.
They do a good job.
Yeah.
They do a very good job.
They're doing an increasingly good job.
But the
I think.
problem is they do your whole study. I mean, you don't
Yeah.
need a brain.
Well, it is. It's one
a
step.
lot of
shopping.
people just dump that stuff in a paper without thinking about it.
Uh-huh.
So that's, I think, a problem with Metabolon. Whereas with you guys,
Well, this is what I think. This is what part of the discussion here is. We shouldn't be trying to go head to head with Metabolon because if we try and provide the same service, we will
No.
lose.
I don't think
I
we need to,
totally
no.
disagree, and
But-
I actually very publicly and vocally go to the NIH and on a crusade. And I go there and said they are not doing science because you do not get the data. You only get process data, you don't get raw data.
No, that's my point.
You get raw
And
data.
you do not get raw data, ever.
You get
You get data sheets, you get
fold
Excel sheets.
increase.
Excel sheets. There is no way to prove their claims. If they say I have identified, and we did it actually with you,
Yeah.
blue val and whatnot.
Right.
They didn't even have a spectrum for you.
That was a long time.
Yeah, it
I
was a
think
long
that
time
would
ago, but they
change.
still don't do it.
Yeah, but this is my point.
Yeah.
Is I'm saying you don't want to go head to head with Metabolon. You want to identify
Yes.
what you're doing different.
Yes.
Very, very.
But on the other
clearly.
hand, I think you need like Dinesh for us at least.
Yeah.
I mean, you need people like
Yeah.
Dinesh to
Yes.
help. You know, not quite metabolon level, but
No.
more than just giving you raw data.
Yes.
Yeah, well, this is another thing we need to bring up.
And that's
Value-
what basically the
across
sign,
all the cores is
yeah.
value added to the data.
Right.
the scientific
exactly.
support. I called it scientific support here.
And that's
Okay.
Right.
limited. I think.
It is limited, and
That-
because
that may be the biggest problem with you compared to metabolon.
but there's also people like Dan Klebenstein who are happy just to have the data.
No, I know,
Right.
but there are
You
a
know?
lot of metabolon
question
virgins
is-
out there.
Yes.
Metabolon
I,
virgins who don't know.
don't think that the facility should be a metabolon.
This course should not be. No, that's
Should
what I'm
not
saying.
be.
But we need
The
to.
mission
You gotta get
of
closer
The
to-
facility should be
But we need to
different.
decide what we can do better and different from Metabolon.
well, science.
Well, we do, for example,
that-
compound identification. They don't. They usually don't, look into the unknowns, and we do this a lot. For example.
No, but this
Right,
is we
yeah.
need to be very clear
Yeah.
because this is going to be. It's the same. It's true of many of the calls for me. It's like DNA sequencing. How are we distinguishing ourselves from Novogen?
Yeah, but
Right,
it's the difference
so-
between a partnership and a service.
Well, if we're going, but we need to identify that we are a partner
Yeah.
then. And do you see what I'm saying?
It's just a
Well,
service.
Limited
one
partnership.
one of the roles of the executive committee, of the advisory committee, is to sort of advise the core as to how we are different. I think it's even illegal for us to compete, is it Dole or whatever, with the private sector.
No, but we should not.
No, exactly. No, this is
It's
my
wrong.
point.
We
I
should
agree.
not.
We should
If
not.
It's done, and if it's not broken, we don't repair it. We do things that we need to do from the science perspective. They are doing a business. If it's convenient, you go. If it's not convenient, you don't go. But
Exactly.
you don't want to be there.
But we need to enunciate that. It's just saying in principle is what we do. We need to actually say what is it that we do differently.
For example, we are cheaper, a lot cheaper, and
Fine.
there's many people who
But I-
just cannot afford metabolon services.
Yeah, but good.
And by the
This
way,
is the
this
point,
was
though.
a
This
competition.
needs to
This
be-
project here, the same samples were sent to Metabolon.
Mhm.
The Metabolon identified 600 compounds. We identified 1,200 compounds.
Good for you.
So Metabolon, when the data were presented in Shanghai, Metabolon was in the room, and they were furious because their quality was worse. So
for you.
yes, we do compete,
Did-
and
were they
I
the
do
same
not
ones?
back
No, no,
off from
you're not-
companies because we are better.
No, no,
Were they the
you're
same
not
compounds
competing.
all?
You're
Yeah,
not competing.
Not
this is my
competing.
point.
We are competing in quality.
But we should not be doing what they are doing.
If they are doing it
If
better,
they give you money to get data, you can get the data elsewhere. Go wherever you want.
yes.
You don't deal with that. You are dealing with science questions
Yes.
that are resolved
Exactly.
in development.
I can-
That's
if
an
I can,
objective.
if I can give you some parallels with DNA sequencing, what I say is we have made a strategic decision not to compete with the private sector. We can't. In fact, I spend more money outside the centre than inside the centre from my own lab in terms of DNA sequencing. What I say is we are not the McDonald's of sequencing, right? The standard, high throughput, relatively low quality. Yeah, that's not what we should be trying to do. But we do need to enunciate because when I go in front of the administration to defend the cause, which I have to do on a fairly regular basis, right? I need it spelled out very clearly. Otherwise, they say, we're too expensive.
So in terms of where we are different, we will go for the new proposals that will go from the NIH. They are entirely slated. They come on October, or deadline will be October for submission, on computational metabolomics, where it's actually our strength is. Compound identification, clearly that's what my lab is actually doing, and several people in my lab, and so on. Databases, that's also clearly the research we are doing. But also interpretation of metabolomic data sets, right? And that's what kind of Dinesh is doing, right? And making methods to do it faster and better in terms of scientific interpretations. So this is exactly what we are discussing, and that's one of the opportunities that we will go.
That's Office of the Directors.
This is coming from the NIH Common Funds. Okay, so we are also right now a Common Fund Center, right? Through campus support, we also do things that are not done by Metabolon, for example, isotope tracer studies. So, by the way, if you haven't heard, there is an opportunity. If you put in isotopes, we have a postdoc working with you. So that's campus funding for the core. Getting a campus community who are interested in isotope tracer studies, like glucose tracers or whatever you want to look at in terms of pathways, right? So there is a postdoc, and so it's funded, and we also train the core. So the idea is we get a community together. So that, for any isotope, N15, 13C, whatever, stable isotopes, no radioisotopes. So we don't touch radioisotopes. Okay, very good, very good. Yeah, that's good. That's good. All right, and we want good. That's basically the idea. So, all right. Of course, I love to have Metabolon around because people now want at least the same quality, right? That raises the expectations, and it's good, to have a little competition there, or people who actually also know what they're doing. Because there's other centers like Kentucky who don't know what they're doing, and they got the same funding. It's pretty sad sometimes. It's difficult for us to serve all scientists equally well. The plants, the microbes, the biomedical, they have clearly different expectations, needs, and it's very hard for any service corps to do it equally well for everyone. Well, we try. We cannot abandon one area. It's impossible. We can't because we are the campus corps, right? Can't do it. But it's hard, and we do have these discussions from time to time. Do we still want to, for example, offer volatile analytics for volatiles? There's usually one project a year where somebody has a pot of soil and they want to know what's stinking, or they have a strawberry or a rose and they want to know why it's smelling so good. That's usually one project a year, right? And we still maintain these services, right? Because I think we should, right? But biomedical guys couldn't care less, right? Okay.
They want to know what's in your home.
Maybe, yeah.
Or why mosquitoes attracted some people and not others.
And why dogs smell cancer.
Well, they don't.
Don't give up the
Well, I don't
VSUs.
know.
I know for sure. I talked to
Anyway,
Constanza.
we should move along.
Yes,
Okay.
so 2 minutes. We have an action item. So let's talk about fees. So we have a yearly billing of, in the last 3 years, about $1.3 million. We have, in the last 16 months, yearly consumables, $450,000. We have $1 million in staff, just the people who are on it, not the people who would get in, right? We have yearly repairs of $120,000. So overall, we have a deficit of $300,000 that has been carried by the NIH, right? So that's basically Kelly and Dinesh and one IT programmer. We need one IT support, definitely. Jeanette. And there was also one core person, Mike Webb, who was funded by the NIH. So there's several people like on the payroll who actually do core work, and the statistician, who were basically paid by the NIH. And the NIH funding runs out this year, so we have to cover that thing.
So
and
are
we
you renewing?
No, it's not. This is the renewal is this one. The renewal that comes out is different. So the first 5 years, the NIH said build capacity, get people in the course, get services running, make more services, get
That's
more
not
machines.
renewable.
We did that, and that's not renewable. They said after that's done, you should run yourself, and we do that, right? That's why we are here, and that's why we also now have an advisory board from campus again, because now we said okay, so now we run without help. The new centers will go on the computational side. Clear research, only research, really. So we looked at all of that and what we were charging, and the fees were unchanged since 2011, right? We actually have $20 on average per sample for consumables. We have about $47 or $48 on average per sample on staff costs, total staff costs, all of it together, and $5 for machine maintenance. And that was more than we had built into the rates. When we looked into the rates, for example, I had $2 of machine maintenance, and I had $8 of direct consumables, and now we know that it's actually more, right? So that's an average, and I would like to keep that average, because sometimes, it's a little faster for 1,000 samples. You could say there's a little rebate. It's a little less time per sample, but there's not many studies. So most studies are 60 samples, and that's or 12 and maybe 100, but that's not much difference in terms of the staff time per sample. Yes. So, but
Raise the
I
price.
will need your vote later.
Raise the price.
Yeah. So
Except for me.
yeah, I know. So the price rates would go up from just the running without staff, $39, and then we add the staff hours to it, and we actually get more. We were more efficient, so we actually now use less staff time per sample than we did 5 years ago. So although the staff hourly salary will increase, the total will only go to 73, from 59, right? So then we need that's the average across all it's a little cheaper for UC. Yeah, so that's the average across all, and so that's where I would need your.
That's not a bad increase.
What is the support from campus?
The campus has so far only the one postdoc and 30% of the core staff for isotope tracers. That's it. That's the campus support. So that's just there was no campus support from 2011 forward, except for Genome Center support, like the Genome Center people, the ladies upstairs,
we all do all the billing.
Yeah, the billing administration,
Actually, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
All the billing stuff happening in the background is a hell of a lot of
The
work.
idea when the Genome Center, the idea of the centers, I'm talking about Alphen and ancient history now. The idea that we discussed there was an active campus support.
No, it is active.
Yeah.
These are people.
In terms of funds, operating funds.
What?
Operating funds. Yeah, the Genome Center has operating funds. The
Yeah.
Genome Center has operating funds, and it needs it, and it uses it. We couldn't do it without a
We do
staff
something like-
manager and a.
We do something like 22,000 samples, recharges and stuff like that, across all the cores.
Yeah.
It's
So
not
they-
trivial.
When you say you, it means
The Genome Center.
So all of the billing and stuff like that, all the personnel, everything gets taken care of upstairs.
So Kelly puts it into a billing system, but then somebody has to take it and actual build it,
And all,
it comes back.
and all the personnel,
and see it comes back and stuff.
all the personnel, all the hiring.
Also when we put it something like we need a column, then we put it into the purchase system. Well, somebody has
all
to.
the equipment purchases.
Yeah.
And all
Yeah.
the equipment, a department has a
It's
staff,
like a department.
right? We have a staff, and there's at least one FTE that goes to supporting the course.
So that
is
is.
that enough?
No,
Not enough. It's a deficit.
no. And actually, there is actually in part of the rates, some of it is built into here. It should be.
Is there a formula the Office of Research does for supporting the cores? Is it based on
No.
But
what
that
they
was
bring?
the idea at the beginning. The idea was the
How many
Office of
investigators
Research.
Well, was now the idea with a designated campus course. That's why they wanted designated campus course. There's 17,
Well-
and that these 17 designated campus courses, a little pot of money. From that pot of money, that postdoc is for the isotope tracer. So we have a semi-annual call where we can either go for a machine or we ask for whatever
At
idea.
the moment, the Genome Center is actually a line item through the provost, not the Office of Research, thankfully, because otherwise they'd nickel and dime me to death. The other problem is with the campus cores is if you look at us, there's the mouse biology, which is about 6 million, and then if you look at the Genome Center in aggregate, it's about 5.5, and each of our individual cores, like this one, does over $1 million worth of business, right? There isn't a single core, except for mouse biology, that's bigger than us. And the problem is the amount of money that the campus gives through the Office of Research, the Campus Cores Program, is less than $1 million that they have to dispose across all the cores.
So the overhead
There's a complete disconnect
Yeah.
between what the Genome Center needs and all these other cores. And And so we've been very careful to keep them somewhat separate rather than folding them in because there's no way that we would just dwarf.
But
Any-
Richard,
any
there
need.
is a degree of overhead recovery that should be coming to the units.
It does.
And goes where? How much? What percentage?
Well, if you really want to know what happens,
Yeah, really.
So-
wanna know.
we're a Garamendi building, okay? So we have to pay the mortgage. There are 3 units in this building, biomedical engineering, genome center, and what I call molecular medicine. And it costs about 9.2 or 9.4 million to run this building, of which 4.5 is mortgage repayments. When we went to the activity-based funding system, everything got scrambled up, and I spent 2 years negotiating a viable package, at the end of which we get 85% of all ICR, right, all overhead, comes to the genome center. We then
the
have
whole building,
the whole building. Anyone that has a
the
footprint here,
meds, everybody else.
everybody, and that goes towards paying off the $65 million mortgage. I have a $65 million mortgage, right? That has to go. Now we also have to pay the electricity bill. So everything that overhead is meant to pay for, we pay for. So we're almost an independent financial institution.
But the overhead is still going to.
No,
To us.
85% goes to the Genome Center for mortgage, for electricity, for,
Right,
for
right.
running the building. So we
other
run
thing-
the building. It's very different to all other buildings on campus.
But we pay building maintenance, we pay everything. So it works. It's
So
not
other
generous, but it
academic
works.
units get Zippo.
What happens the other day?
There are many departments here which are not the genome center. What they get? from
They,
that money?
the 85% gets folded back to the school, and the money comes to us to pay the mortgage. So the academic units in this building are handled very differently.
So they get Zippo.
What?
They get nothing.
No, they get everything. They get the 85%. But we also, there's a charge per square foot. Like the UCOP tax, right? We pay that. We pay everything. We are a financially independent. And all the responsibilities come to us.
Okay.
It's not pretty, but it's, and there's a cost per square foot. Now, I know exactly what it is. I think it's $29 per square foot or something like that we get assessed.
When I entered the building and I looked at my rooms and they were all empty, Richard came to me and said, this is your square foot price.
Yeah.
If you don't make it, I'll kick you out. and I need so many overheads. You need so many grants for your research and you need so much money for the core. Good luck.
Yeah.
And
But
if you
that's
don't do
why-
it, well,
That's why, for example, if you do $1,000 worth of business here, if it's a UCD account number, I reach through and get 85% of that overhead. It doesn't cost you anything, but I see it. It works.
Yeah.
Well, bottom line here, though,
Well,
we need to put the
doesn't
rates
work.
up. Well, it does.
Doesn't work because you are in deficit.
No, but he's undercharging the real costs. And
Yes.
we, across all the cores, you have to recharge the cost of doing the experiment. And
so the last 5 years we were good and we could
'Cause you
maintain the
can-
rates because of the NIH and so on. And I think we all agree we need a statistician. You have a core of this size needs a statistician, and it's good to have one. A core of this size needs a project manager because there's a lot of projects.
it'd be chaotic
right.
not to.
Exactly. So this
Yeah,
core
that's
is
pretty sad.
so big in terms of the also much bigger than in terms of samples and whatnot than the other cores, that it's not just one core manager who can actually manage the core totally.
But even DNA sequencing is another big core here, and it's slightly different structure. But again, Lutz, the core, has a core manager, but then there are 2 senior people that are running different parts of that core in terms of project management. It's structured slightly differently, but the outcome's effectively the same.
So it's good that we have all the support because that makes sure that we can look at what did we actually pay for the repairs. All the instruments except for one instrument, we just pay as we go when we need repair, because usually it's very, very expensive to have maintenance contracts, but for very expensive. But for one instrument we have it, and it paid off for that one instrument, But for all the other instruments, we just let the engineer come in and then we pay as we go, and it's like 120,000. That's okay. It's not bad for
So that's very good.
for 16 mass specs.
And
Right?
I think it works if you've got some redundancy in your machines. If you've got one machine that'll only do that and you have a big project coming through, you have to deliver on that. It depends on the machine. So it depends on your philosophy. And I hate single points of failure. Philosophically, it keeps me awake at night. But if you've got some redundancy, you can. I think what you've done.
Okay, so do you need more information in terms of the fees? I mean, of course, we had many more data sheets, and we can split it up in any dimension as necessary. But I will need your support if we then if we propose this, then it goes to the campus rate committee, the review committee. There's a campus rate review committee, but I would need your backing to say, all right, I think that's what is needed.
Actually, it doesn't go there now. I learned the other day.
Okay.
As long as you don't change the way you're calculating the rates, it doesn't go all the way up. It just goes to the dean's office.
Oh, I see.
All right. So it does get another review, but as long as you don't change the formula,
Okay.
right? But you plug in different numbers, it's actually remarkably sensible.
Oh, I
That
see.
it can rates. So if you come up with a totally new rate, right,
Okay.
that you've structured totally
Yeah.
different, that has to go all the way to the top.
So
If it's
basically,
just
what
if
we
you've got
will.
a formula and you want to plug in different numbers into that formula, it can get approved fairly easily.
So what you see here is really what our rates are for mass spectrometry and for labor 1 and labor 2. So labor 1 is SRA 2s and junior specialists, and SRA labor 2 is advanced or senior scientists. And we also have a labor rate actually for student helpers and just the mass spec itself. So these are the basic units that we do, and then because there's some projects where you need more hours. So I need, 50 hours of labor rate 2. So you just get the labor rate 2, but you don't need the mass spec, for example, right? That's okay. And that also makes us amenable to give quotes. So Kelly sends out all the quotes. So if people say, I need this service done, and then Kelly looks at it and she sends out the quotes, right? And then people like it or they don't like it, but they basically, and we have a formula, like usually if you send me 100 plans, I'd say, well, that takes so much time, so many hours for sample prep.
You have a 30% increase more or less in fees.
This is over the last 6 years. So you have to think divided by 6 years. Right.
No, it's okay. What I'm saying is you go 29 to 39.
Yeah. So that's just for the mass spec. Basically, the consumables and the repairs. It's a little higher than before. Right.
Oliver, why do some of the non-UC rates remain the same?
They shouldn't. No, this is 44 and here it's 60.
But look at the other two.
Oh, maybe they didn't calculate right. That's called not done right.
He's paying attention.
Good stuff. Good work. Yeah, good work. Now
It will be.
Yeah, it will be. It will be. Yeah. Sharp eyes.
But I don't. I'm moving on because I think there's
Yeah,
another.
that is the last. This is the last
Another
item.
point. Okay.
Yeah. So are there other items?
Well, can we reach a consensus? The fees have to go up.
Yeah, how much is that based on you're still going to maintain the 22,000 plus samples?
Yes, we will actually increase the number. So we hire more people, and we get even more samples in.
Right, but when you're hiring in more people, getting more samples in, how does that affect the bottom line?
It should be even out. So it is at cost. So we provide services at cost. So basically, we hire more people, and we get more samples, and it should even out. Plus minus 8%.
Yeah. Well, actually, now you're not legally allowed to make more than 15%.
50.
About 50. It's been increased from 8 to 15.
Good.
But you're not allowed to lose more than 15%. Right? That's the rules.
Well, it's better
And-
when
and
I started,
therefore-
it was 3%. That was kind of hard to.
No, it's
Yeah.
15% now. You've got that amount of flexibility. And if it's out of that window, you have to adjust your rates. Right? So
And we basically also, well, through those subsidies, we were acquiring a bit of a surplus that we are spending also on new staff members.
what you haven't got up here is actually your carryover, what you have in the bank.
Yeah, but basically these are for the people that we paid. They were there,
Okay.
but we paid them through the NIH. Right? And that's of course not. We cannot
He
continue.
has quite a piggy bank at the moment.
I'm German. I love my debit account. I'm
Advisory
just.
committee's not allowed to have access to that
I
information.
know. And the sad part is, I actually asked our staff. I said, "Can I turn that piggy bank into an instrument?" He said, "No, you can't." You know.
There is the issue of different flavors of money.
Yeah. And I can't.
The question is, once the NIH is over,
Yes.
the increase in 30% will cover that
Yes.
absence?
It will. You know. Also because we have a piggy bank, as you say, so that if it doesn't totally, we are still fine because I still have some.
You're under right. I
And
mean,
the other question is, what will happen to your clientele with an increase of 30%?
I hope.
You will lose.
I hope that we have a little fewer small projects. So we get, it's really drowning in samples that are actually difficult for 12 samples, this and that. The core complains a little bit. We have every week a core meeting. And they said, so I hope that if it's a little higher rate, that these people go away and only the serious people stay. That's my little hope,
But you have to be aware that with this cloud in power now, there will be an effect on grants.
We don't know that yet. So far, Republicans will come to our save.
I think we need to sail forth in blissful naivety.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you.
It could be. It could, if they really slash NSF and if they really slash NIH, everybody's in trouble. All universities will be in trouble.
Trouble. Yeah.
Yeah. So
We won't.
No, I know.
It won't be only our
I know
thing.
about. Sorry, I don't care about other universities.
Yes.
Now. What is your plan B?
So plan B
That's what I
is
wanna
we
do.
still have a piggy bank. If they slash 30%, if all the we're still good for at least a year or two.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
good.
but-
He's good for a year. But
Right.
but if it comes to the ring, we will have to close, or
Yes.
we'll have to scale
You
back
know.
Yeah,
dramatically.
but how much of your outside, you said only about 10% or samples from Davis?
Yes.
How much of your outside is NIH or federal funding dependent?
It's a lot, but I could also. We don't even market. Let's put it this way: if I wanted, I
Yeah,
could.
but you do have corporate clients,
I
right?
have a few, and the corporate clients actually said to me, Janssen, for example, they said we would give you a hell lot more of samples if you increase your throughput, turnaround time.
Okay.
So if you guarantee a
So
2-week
you
turnaround,
do have a
decrease
plan
your turnaround
B
time.
that-
decrease,
You
yeah.
said increase.
Well, yeah, make it better.
No, I know what
You know, so they said we would give you a heck of more samples, but you need a 2-week
So you
turnaround,
could
and they're
have
like,
that
oh
as
my
a
god,
plan B.
I cannot give you special treatment because then UC Davis people or academics
Yeah,
would
but
complain.
as academics disappear, you can step up.
I
for those
I could
guys,
do
so I
that,
don't
you
think-
know,
But
and
if
there's
the
we have.
academics disappear, then why we need the center?
Well, you need.
no, I
Because
mean,
the
if they
center,
decrease,
no,
not
but
disappear,
what
just-
I am trying to say is that the existence of all this is to really contribute to the development of science in campus, not to do business.
No, I know, and the point is,
So I would like
we have to have a
that we
certain.
have to be very aware of.
Yeah, I know. So, and you're totally right. So,
know.
therefore, I see this extramural business as supporting the infrastructure, so that if you have 20 samples here and there, we can help you. There are people, there are machines, and so on.
Actually, a very
you know.
important thing for commercial, I told you we had a 30% markup. That comes in as NUD, which is beautiful money
Yes.
because it is kind of our slush fund, and that doesn't have any restrictions on it. So if we get big research contracts in NUD, as long as we pay all the bills, we can do what the hell we like with that 30%, and that really gives us the flexibility that just doesn't exist with federal funds and things like that. So it allows all the corps to do things that they wouldn't otherwise be able to do.
There was also the question on the. You had a question by email on the mass spec facility.
Yeah, well, maybe I can give some background on that.
Okay.
The campus, this campus has 172 cores. 172. And there's a certain amount of duplication in certain areas. One of which is mass spec. Another one, for example, is microscopes and things like that. And one of the functions of the campus cores committee is to remove redundancy. Now, either this year or next year, mass spec facilities on campus are going to get reviewed. All right. Therefore, we need again to be very, very clear what the different units are doing, because they will eliminate redundancy if it's claimed.
We had several plant people actually coming to us who went to the mass spec facility first,
I know.
and they couldn't help him.
So what we have here in terms of mass spec, so or three types. We've got the proteomics core, we have the metabolomics core, and then we have the so-called campus mass spec facility that was sort of out of the old MSF, run by Julie
It
Leary,
still
who's now
exists.
retired. Well, oh yeah, definitely. Now this is under the Office of Research, and to some extent competes with both proteomics and metabolomics to some extent. And what I worked out with Julie, that we kind of fell out somewhat because she was a Genome Center member. And the problem, to put it in a nutshell, was that she wanted to develop a center of excellence in mass spectroscopy, and she was very good. She was very good. But if you wanted to do mass spec, you went to her, you collaborated with her. What we want to do, and where the disconnect didn't happen so much in the metabolomics, but in the proteomics, was we want to do mass spec for the masses. Right? People who are not mass spectroscopists could come and they worked with Brett. And I had a choice between Julie or Brett, and I chose Brett. She moved out, and she now runs, or was running, the campus mass spec facility.
I think Carlito is now running it.
Carlito is now
But she
running
was difficult then. I was in the years ago when I came. I was in that advisory thing.
it. Okay, anyway,
And,
can I just say where it's
and she
going, because we
didn't
don't have a lot of
change.
time. No, she didn't. But what was meant to be happening, right, is quite honestly, if you have a reasonably competent mass spec, someone, a postdoc or student, that wants to run thousands of samples, the metabolomics core is fairly expensive. And certainly in proteomics, we do not allow students or postdocs near our machines, right? Because if you're guaranteeing something, you can't have someone messing with it over the weekend. So what the mass spec facility is meant to be is they have a number of machines, you pay a small annual training fee, and you're basically buying machine time, right? That is different from a sample-based facilities over here.
Except for the GC quads.
No, this is where we need to clarify, right? Because we'll get in trouble. Is that they're not meant to be running projects for people, though they do a little bit. And what I'm saying is that what's coming down the pipe, okay, regardless of what is de facto happening, what is going to come down the pipe is the campus will not support or tolerate redundancy. All right?
Well, then we take over the mass spec facility. I can do that.
But Richard, let's be real. But I am only 16 years here. You are many more.
Don't
And
make me
this is
depressed.
a problem. Cases like Julie are historic.
I
And
agree.
I don't think that they're going to be solved.
They're trying, but
Because
the campus has a responsibility.
Difficult.
No, Julie's left. Julie's retired. She's
Oh,
gone.
yeah?
Yeah.
Julie's
Oh,
gone.
that's good.
That's why
She's gone.
Carlito's now doing it.
That's why Keely's gone.
Right,
So her mass specs, though, are moving into the MSF core.
Oh, that's good.
Right? We looked at that and actually decided that we didn't really want those machines. They didn't add capacity. Well, they added capacity, but no capabilities to us. And the politics of this was going to be too horrendous. But I'm saying we have got to make sure what we want our role to be, because it is going to be on the table. Are you redundant? And if you're redundant, what are we going to do about it? All right? And I do actually see a role. I mean, I think
Micro.
what I think there's still three types of mass spec user on this campus. Is one of the real high-end domain experts, like Carlito, who have a bunch of their own mass specs. Then you have the middle tier, where a postdoc is pretty competent. They can't afford to pay for thousands of samples, right? So they get trained and they run their possibly you get substandard data out of the campus mass spec. Sometimes that's adequate if it's a standard procedure. And then you have the high-end fee for service that the proteomics core and the metabolomics core. We've got to be very clear what those different roles are. Yeah, and as Oliver points out, both in the proteomics core and the metabolomics core, many PIs try and run their samples at the campus facility. And after a couple of months of frustration, they're over here, and we turn it around in 2 weeks, and they walk away and do the biology.
Yeah, because if you don't have an expert, you're going to spend a heck of a lot of time, dollars on that person getting trained. And
Bob
getting
tried it several times. He always hired
validating.
postdocs.
And then he realized.
And then he realized he didn't get anything out of it.
Yeah,
they
and
can't
time and-
validate the.
Time and time again, this has happened, both in the proteomics core and the mass spec core here, that you get what you pay for, bottom line. But there are some people that want a different model. I'm saying, I'm just giving you a heads up, this is coming down the pipe.
So you want us to hand over the GCMS and the LCI traps to the mass spec guys?
I'm just saying that. be
I mean, we
careful.
could do that, but it's always good to have a little training capacity.
I would agree.
You know,
if
and-
it
I
works,
think
and for
that's okay, but it's like you said, you don't advertise that, you don't have it on your website that that's what
Yeah.
you're doing.
the other
That's if
thing.
it's a special
But
case.
guys like my case, just to put an example. We just, I want to give samples, give me the readings, and then I will decide where I go deep or not, and I probably will do it in collaboration with the lab somewhere or here. But you have to provide the service. That
I-
service is fundamental.
I'm 100% with you. I'm just telling you what's on the table, because the campus has a responsibility not to have redundant.
Yeah, but the service has to be follow the model that we are following here.
That's all right. I'm just saying, but
Because it works.
the problem is that the so-called campus mass spec facility is funded through the Office of Research. It's to some extent that it's their baby, because we come through the provost. There's this somewhat antagonism between the two, and I spend quite a lot of time, and I need input and feedback from this committee, right, saying this is the right thing. And again, it gets back to relative to Metabolon, relative to the campus facilities. How are we different? That's very important.
Yes. How I'm getting too old, the things never change because that was a game of Klein.
Yeah.
And never worked. The fact is that guys like me ended up going outside because
Okay.
it was impossible.
Anyway, I'm just
Oh, I
saying
give you
we
half.
need.
I give you this. Oh, half here, and
I know,
everybody's.
I'm just but because we established the Genome Center kind of outside the system, we got away with it. It's kind of working, but there's this continual, you put it up in your SWOT analysis, threat, right? That they're going to want to try and fuse stuff or whatever. I'm not sure totally where it's going, but it's something that you've got to be aware of.
Yeah, but who trains people on those things? Is that paid for by
Will
recharges
Jewel is subsidized through the Office of Research. They
or?
have
Okay,
they
so
have
he's
they have one
paid,
they have
okay.
one guy that's subsidized.
Yeah, but one guy cannot like do
No.
this thing what we
and
do.
it's the
right?
subsidies.
No, they pay his 100% of his salary and benefits.
Yeah, but when you put that into consideration with all the money spent, it's not so big.
No, it isn't. No, and their recharges is $50,000 a
I
year.
know.
Here's 1.3 million. I mean,
Yeah.
Again, this is the problem on this campus. The scale is just
That's what I was
totally
going to
different.
ask. I mean, is it going to come down to return on investment? I mean,
Well, no, exactly. That's what the admin wants to know. Return on investment. So that's another thing. The other thing that's kind of going on, and I think there's a whole revolution in biology about the amount of data we're getting, right, and how we analyze it. And this campus is woefully prepared for it. I mean, we're better off than some.
Yeah.
There is ongoing a committee that's trying to put together sort of bioinformatics. Actually, it's going to be called data-driven biology. It's going to be the name of the white paper, right? But this core and the other cores need to project forward how we're going to deal with unprecedented amounts of data.
So
But ultimately, I can't finish. The other thing is value added to that data, which you've touched on. The other thing that's coming down too is provenance and storage. That NIH is requiring that you can repeat and the data sets, and there's virtually no lab on campus that's capable of compliance, right? So, in particular the cores, I think there's a role for the cores here to play.
So we,
Yeah.
we calculated $30,000 for data storage a year. Right now.
Only 30,000.
Only 30,000 for
We
data
have a
storage. So what we do,
bioinformatics
the GCMS data is very small and it's
Okay.
okay. What we do for the LCMS data is much bigger, is we put it onto storage that it's not on a fingertip,
No, it's
but on a
nearline.
cold, yeah.
Nearline.
Yeah.
But again, backup. But again, projecting forward, you've got to have a data component, which is good. But I want to see something a little bit more formal. And you just mentioned the bioinformatics core. The other thing I think is an opportunity that's somewhat unique to the Genome Center is doing projects that do metabolomics, proteomics, maybe the DNA. I know you've got some projects in this regard.
Very little.
Very
Very little.
But
You know?
again,
Actually, Eduardo was once with some plums. He wanted
Okay, so
plum.
again,
Yeah,
project-
but that was the Very few.
Yeah, we're doing it with JGI right
Yeah.
now.
But you see what I'm saying, projecting forward, right? It's both an opportunity and almost a responsibility
Yeah.
for getting.
I think
and
people
that's
would like to
a
do
role
that.
you can play. Yeah, it's a role. It may be a little bit more cumbersome, but it's something I think you can really play.
Yeah.
Almost responsibility. If there's a project that looks kind of interesting, you say, well, have you thought about the proteomics side?
Yeah.
And also pulling in the bioinformatics core.
So
gotta
you
be-
still have
But
these
by
Genome
informatics
Center
course,
grants,
okay.
right?
What do you mean?
You always had
Well,
these
there's-
$2,000
these seed grants. Yeah.
seed grants.
Yeah.
But
We could say we want these seed grants for things that are going across cores.
Well, actually, no, we encourage that. So if a seed grant, right, goes across cores,
Yeah.
they get $2,000 for every core they use. So if they have metabolomics or proteomics and bioinformatics, that's a $4,000 grant.
But the bioinformatics course should play a leadership role.
They try to, but I mean, again, it's
Well,
it's
they have
really
to be more aggressive.
they try. But it's about. But often the projects are coming in to the individual wet lab cores, not
Right.
to bioinformatics, because you know it's kind of like the definition of statistician. You know what that is? Someone called in after the experiment to tell you why it failed. So it's somewhat the same with bioinformatics. People walk up with these possibly big data sets on a poorly designed experiment, and then they're asked to sort it out. But they're getting better. But we're really pushing again. Actually, this core is much better set up for the computation than the other cores.
But it's basically because I am, had
know.
my research emphasis.
Exactly.
But that was not it was a kind of a strategy.
It
but-
was. That's why we hired you.
But
But-
she will be, again, I don't understand then the role of the bioinformatics course. Because the
Bioinformatics is
course-
a field of science, so they are overwhelmed.
Well, they are horrible. I mean, one of the things that Oliver's managed to put together, which is very good, is the scale. I mean, how many people have got on this stuff now?
13 in the core.
That is double what bioinformatics has. Now, if you go to the Broad, they have 200 people in bioinformatics. We
Yeah,
have
but-
6.
So
the
I'm
whole
asking
campus. I
you,
mean, it's pathetic.
I'm asking you, when you're saying, you're talking about information, you talk about storage, you talk about integration. Anybody that talks about systems biology is talking about that. Shouldn't that be the role of the bioinformatics core? How come the bioinformatics core is such a low key?
I'm not sure it's low key. It
Well,
struggles.
you're
It's
telling
horrible.
me
It's
they don't have
horrible.
the capacity.
It's horribly underpowered. There's a difference between low
So?
key and underpowered.
And people don't want to pay for it.
There's a complete disconnect. The other thing is their recharge rate, like you've got the recharge rates here, they recharge $91 an hour.
Yeah.
Now they'll do anything, but actually looking at data for 100 hours, nothing, right? Well, you've got close to a bill for $10,000. That is the whole budget for supplies for a yeast lab for a year. And that's what gets built into your grant proposal, right? There's a complete disconnect on the ability of people to pay, even if they want to pay.
Yes. And
The
the
granting
granting,
agencies.
especially the NSF.
Yeah.
Especially the NSF. But also,
It's getting there. But this is a
Horrible.
challenge. Well, maybe one of the purposes of this white paper we're putting together is to go to the administration and say, it's going to cost. If you want to be a frontline research university, it's going to cost you tens of millions of dollars
Yep.
over the next 5 years, right? And it's kind of, I'm trying to build awareness on this. Now,
You know the answer.
money,
You know the answer.
what is it?
So,
well,
you want money? We don't have it.
yeah, so the problem is, of course, you look at the deans don't want to take it away, and the departments certainly say, well, we are a very important department, right?
But this is, part of it is education. Part of it, though, is making a good case. And I mean, I do talk to the provost. I do talk to who will be the provost, Ralph Hexter as well. And they kind of get it. But what they say is it's a zero-sum game, right? It has to be. You have to balance the books at the end of the year. Where do you put your money? When the new chancellor comes on board, he's going to get inundated with proposals. Right? But the proposals that will get acted on, because there is money in the system, proposals that get acted on are the ones who've got their ducks in a row. So what we're trying to do is to make sure we can present an informed proposal. And again, this is where this committee comes in. I'm still not totally sure how you say you're going to get this grant, but we or whatever. I
You
mean,
never
if-
know.
if-
The
if-
reviewers, right?
if-
You
if
get the reviewers,
if
and
you
then
get- if you
whatever
get
they
the
say.
But talking about centralization and not duplicating things. I mean, data storage and raw compute. We shouldn't have a machine room upstairs. This should be a computing resource that's centralized, close to the power station, close to cooling, right? 6 or 7
They
sysadmins.
were gonna build that, what happened?
What happened was the chancellor was actually prepared to sign off on a $40 million deal, and then the med school came in with all of their requirements. Not clear. What's the other one for data protection? It jumped from 40 million to 70 million. At that point, the chancellor said no. And now, though, the whole of UC is putting all of its med data up at Medford or somewhere. It's somewhere in Oregon. So that's now off the. You probably know more about it than I do, right? Now, so all that has been taken off the table again, which is eminently sensible. Apart from the fact the latency of getting your data back is miserable.
Drive up to Medford.
Anyway, but the whole of the med school data storage issue is, but you still need raw compute power. Yeah, and if you have data sets of petabytes, in the case of cancer, an exabyte and a half. You can't do that locally. So this is the type of things we're grappling with, and we have to get the administration educated. It's going to cost money. And that's going to be the serious, that's where serious subsidy, and you need to make sure. Do you have a data analysis component in your rates?
Yes, that is part. Is this labor too?
Oh, just labor too.
Yeah, so we put it labor, right?
Okay.
And what I've said is, I have right now 4 IT members, 100% IT only, and I'd say at least one has to be paid by the core. There's always a research component to it because we also advance things, and I can't let the core pay for the research, right?
Yeah, you
You
have
know,
to be careful.
I know,
of
and
separating church and state here. I know you've got to be very careful.
I know.
When you get and you will be audited.
it's okay, but
It is no case.
I think
That's
I
fine.
can
That's
make the
not wrong,
case
yeah.
that you cannot produce data but not storing and processing them.
Yeah,
Right?
know.
I mean,
Well,
it's and you that there has to be a person.
But Olga, what the pushback is going to be is
Oh.
if you have a core and your people use that core,
Which core?
the metabolomics core,
Yes.
right?
Oh, my people. Yeah.
If your people
Yeah.
use metabolomics core, you should be recharged
Oh,
at
they
the
do.
standard, at the
We do.
standard rate.
We build them. We say build them, and then she builds them.
You do.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, we do that.
Because that's
Except for the teddy, for the thing that in Native Americans it's starting now.
there shouldn't be any exceptions.
No,
Well,
but then they don't use the
Well,
core.
well, what-
They don't
what-
use the core. It's basically
Well, how do they don't use the core?
well, that's they have undergrads. I have one grad student.
Yeah, but
She has
where-
an army of undergrads
Okay, but where do the samples get run?
on my old machine. I have one old. I do have a.
You have one machine.
I have a
That's-
machine.
But that's what you. I mean,
I do.
I don't want to fix it isn't broken, but you've got to be very careful.
I
because
know,
we will get-
but
we will
Luis
get-
knows my machine.
Yeah, but we will get audited, and the rules are there can be no preferential treatment for anybody across campus when you're accessing the cores, and everybody pays the same way, right? And I'm concerned that there's a somewhat grey area here that you've got to make sure that it's very, very clear, because otherwise you're going to get nothing.
Yeah, we bill. We bill. We charge all the
Okay,
time
good.
because I tell my people are happy about it. They don't want to run this stuff. I usually tell them undergrads or
As long
grads,
as- as long as-
postdocs, like you need to run one study so that you know how to do it, and then you give it to the core.
Fine. As long as there is a clear recharge paper trail on this, I'm happy.
So Oliver, I gotta take off too. So is there an action item?
Yeah, that action item is vote yes or no.
Yes.
You can also think about it. So I'll send.
The rate change there basically on average is 60 to 73. Up top on the right, right? Is that what you're asking?
It goes from 60 to 73, yeah.
Yeah, so roughly,
I
exactly.
mean, I think the argument that you haven't changed rates in 6 years or whatever it is, makes an awful lot of sense
Oh, yeah.
as a justification. I agree with it, that we have to do this.
I think the ending of the grant.
And you're looking at this for 2 years, right? So to
Yes.
look at the rates.
So the idea is we would use it. I think we look at it every year.
Yeah.
you
Well,
know.
I say we're not allowed to make more than a 15% loss or a 15% profit. So let's say he gets some incredibly productive or whatever grant in, right? and he makes 20% over this, we have to reduce our rates.
No.
You have to
I
reduce your
know.
rates.
But we were cheap. We were so cheap, and that's why we got so many. I would love to see little fewer projects and a little fewer samples. We had several emergency meetings last week and the other weeks, you know, because they come to me and said, we don't want to do this anymore. Like, we're, you know, and on the other hand,
But I
once you
think-
start turning people away, how do you say you're not my friend? How do you
But
do
I
this?
think that's an important thing.
I know.
You know, that we can serve tiny users.
Well, I think it's particularly the role of the cause
Yeah,
is the service
exactly.
for the masses.
Yeah.
And to some extent,
Yes.
the domain experts don't need our help
Yeah.
nearly as much as someone coming in that wants to look at this aspect of biology that they're not an expert in.
And we clearly made our decision that we will never turn away UC Davis.
Yeah, well,
That's very, very sure.
Okay.
yeah,
Never,
that's
never.
cool.
You know,
Yeah,
but
okay.
we instruct, and Kelly said this and this and this, don't do it. Send the samples back, even then, you know, tell them we don't do this.
You mean off campus?
Oh yeah, off campus.
Yeah, that's
Something
fair,
like
yeah.
bile acids and what was it the other day? Steroids in
Yeah,
in
it was
sputum or
urine,
whatever, right? We don't do it. We
saliva,
didn't, you
and
know.
steroids.
Yeah. So yeah.
On the other hand, I mean, this is the area that really differentiates you from Metabolon, right? That you're trying to do some development
Yeah.
for
And
the
actually,
investigator
and
getting
it's
off
also
the
the little
ground.
projects.
That's
I'm
a
quite sure
reason they
Metabolon
exist.
doesn't
No,
do
they
it.
don't.
Yeah.
Again,
Because that's
but
because
please
we
make a
get
list,
it.
all right?
Exactly.
When
Exactly.
I need it.
Well, it's not
Right.
quite clear often what they do and what they don't do.
I know, still, we need these bullet points that we can stand up and make it very clear.
Don't
All
you
right.
get the sense we might need another meeting before next year? Is it?
Whatever
or
you,
not?
the chair, you talk to the chair. You can always set up a meeting.
If you need help going to the administration, is what I'm saying. Right?
Well, I think if
Oh,
you
for
want to
sure.
draft bullet points and help us look at
Well,
So Kelly took the minutes, by the way.
I was
So
going to
she.
say, the other thing the cause committee demands is that there are minutes from these meetings that do get circulated.
Yeah.
So,
So Kelly took the minutes. She'll write it up. We'll put it online. I'll send it to you, and you get the YouTube, so you know what's there. All right. Thank you so much for coming.
thank you very much.
what you're going to 73.
Okay.
Yeah,
I would
that's
do
that's good.
that.
I would say, well, the other two left. I mean, I think you should be congratulated on your success. Right?
Yeah, but don't tell them.
Well, especially
It's a
after
joke.